Everybody on social media was going crazy this week over B-Dot's top 10 hip-hop MCs, artists so far of 2021. Well, B-Dot, listen, your list was trash. So here's my top 10 hip-hop artists, MCs of 2021 so far. All the rappers, MCs that's been active and been doing their thing up until now, June of 2021. It's AP on the spot. Come on, let's get it. Let's go.
Killer.
Now, B-Dot, Brian Miller is a hip hop journalist. He's a part of the podcast he has with Elliott Wilson on Untitled called Rap Radar. And if you don't know about Elliott Wilson's history, Elliott Wilson was a former editor at XXL magazine, and he's been in the game for years. I don't necessarily agree when B-Dot comes out with these top 10 lists. And just earlier this week, B-Dot came out with his top 10 best rappers of 2021 so far. So far, it's June, so that's so far. And B-Dot said that his top 10 list was based on skill, performance, and presence, and is subject to change. Now, in B-Dot's top 10, we're gonna run this down real quick. Jim Jones was number 10, Jay-Z was number 9, Nas was number 8, Freddie Gibbs was 7, 6 was Drake, 5 was my guy, Benny the Butcher, Benny, shout out to Benny, number 5. Conway the Machine, shout out to Conway and Griselda, was number 4. Lil Wayne was number 3. Number 2 was J. Cole. And number 1, surprisingly, was Lil Baby. Now, this inspired me to come out with my own top 10 list of MCs who've been active. And we talking about, and that was his list of active MCs. So we're going to break this down into rappers that's active, that's been doing their thing consistently for the last, let's say, year to 2 years, that's been consistently putting out music, consistently grinding, consistently, you know, just in the field, just dropping videos, and just their presence is always in our face, like Tony Ayo, so seductive. Always in their presence is just always in our face. So my top 10 consists of number 10. I'm getting to this. Number 10 is Rj Payne, straight out of Philly. You know what I mean? Rj Payne was once, he was down with, I think he was down with Eric Sermon at one point with Def Squad. But then most recently, about a year or two ago, about 2 years ago almost, he was down with BSF. But then, he, started more navigating away from BSF. And, Benny was like, cool, no doubt, let him do his thing. And he's been dropping his albums and, underground albums for like the last 2 years straight. Rj Payne has been on his grind. He's been dropping consistently albums literally every 3 or 4 months, available on his own website, so you can order the music directly from his site. So Rj Payne is consistent. He's a top tier lyricist. He's gotten props and shout out from Eminem, who some consider, not me whatsoever, but some consider Eminem, the god, the rap god. I mean, even Eminem calls himself the self-proclaimed rap god. But that's a whole nother story. So back on the spot. Rj Payne has gotten props and shout outs from Eminem and Lil Wayne. So Rj Payne is number 10. Papoose is number 9. Papoose has just been grinding. I mean, Papoose has been coming out with an album since 2021, since the year first started. Papoose just dropped a project 2 days ago, yesterday. And Papoose he dropped another album last month. Papoose has literally dropped like 2 or 3 albums and projects just within since the year started in January. And Papoose is a supreme lyricist. I love Papoose. He's number 9. Number 8 is Sky Zoo. Sky Zoo is a dope MC out of Brooklyn, New York, who's been consistently dropping music for the last 2 years. He drops a project or album like every 6 months. He's dropped like 4 albums in the last year. Sky Zoo is also scheduled to drop a new album next week. Number 7, Lloyd Banks. Lloyd Banks has been away from the scene, but he's been, dropping verses here and there on different people's, projects and features and things like that, getting his buzz bubbling again. And it all led up to Lloyd Banks dropping his brand new album that just dropped this week called The Course of the Inevitable. The album is crazy. I would do an album review, but the album is very extremely lengthy. And so I would be making like a 30-minute video. But the album to me is a 4.5 mic quality album. It's definitely Lloyd Banks' best album. But Lloyd Banks has been on the scene for going on now almost close to 17 years from when he first came out with G Unit in the early 2000s, close to 20 years. So Lloyd Banks, with this new album, I guarantee you, if you hear it, you'll agree that he's definitely in the top 10. Lloyd Banks is at my number 7 spot. Number 6, of course, is Black Thought from Philly, representing the roots. There's nothing to say about Black Thought. He's been dropping albums consistently for the last year and a half. Streams of Thought. He just dropped the EP late last year. That was dope. He's been coming out with a bunch of different projects. And also he's with the Roots, who's been dropping albums consistently. Black Thought, check out that Funkmaster Flex freestyle he did like almost a year and a half ago. He was just rhyming nonstop for like 7, 8, 9 minutes. Black Thought is some supreme lyricist. I got him at number 6. Number 5 is my guy, Capo Jim Jones. Jim Jones, I said in another video, he has stepped up his lyricism, his presence, and Jim Jones has always had that presence. You know what I mean? And that swag. I mean, he's from Harlem. So you already know how Harlem dudes get down, how they roll. He consistently drops projects, literally like every couple of months. He dropped like 2 albums since the beginning of the year. Jim Jones dropped a remix album earlier at the top of the year to his El Capo album. Then he followed it up with the Fraud Department album with producer extraordinaire Harry Fraud, just like about 2 months ago. So Jim Jones is consistently in the studio, consistently grinding, consistently working. He's at number 5. Number 4, somebody who's real slept on is 38 Special, straight out of Rochester, New York. 38 Special has really gotten to his producer and his production bag over the last couple of months, over the last year. So he really hasn't been dropping as many albums as he was just like maybe about 2 years ago, because he was dropping like an album like every 4 months, every 5 months. But now he's heavily into his production bag, and he's handling all the production, majority of the production, a lot of the production for his label, Trust, which features Shay Noor, Ransom, Class Murder, a couple of others. So he's been, producing and, executive producing their projects and really handling the business with his Trust movement behind the scenes. But 38 Special pen is crazy. Number 3 and number 2 are interchangeable. Some days I'm feeling like one, some days I'm feeling like the other. Some days I'm feeling like Benny at number 3, Benny the Butcher, you know what I mean? And then some days I'm feeling like my guy coming in at number 2 is Ransom. And so I interchange my top 2 on a daily basis, And so they basically fall in at number 2. You know what I'm saying? Benny, is nothing to be said about Benny, who's been constantly working, grinding. Benny been dropping projects consistent. If you look up the word consistency in the dictionary, or if you Google it, you'll find a picture of Benny right next to it. I mean, he's dropping projects like every couple of months, every 3-4 months. I mean, Benny is just on flames. Every time Benny does a feature, I think whenever, we see such and such featuring Benny the Butcher, I don't know about y'all, but I automatically click the feature. I don't care who it is, whether it's somebody I'm checking for, like let's say he's featured on the new Lloyd Banks song, or whether he's featured on a song by 2 Chainz. I don't care who Benny is featured on the song with. I'm checking for that feature just for Benny, just to hear what Benny got to say, because I already know Benny gonna come with some smoke. He gonna light that track on fire. So Benny comes in at number 3. Ransom is at number 2. Ransom it doesn't get the credit that he deserves, but I don't expect the mainstream, I don't expect the casual hip hop listener, to be up on Ransom. Ransom has been in the game for years, so Ransom ain't no dude who just stepped on the scene within the last 2 years. Ransom has been consistently making classic hip hop music and classic album or classic EPs, which consist of like 6 or 7 songs, 8 songs for like the last year and a half. Ransom and producer Nicholas Craven have been, cooking up for like the last year and a half, almost 2 years. And every project that they release always is certified to have classic lyrics over it, and the instrumentals, the tracks are going to be flames. So Ransom is no doubt at number 2. And number 1, of course, no surprise right here, Conway the Machine. And nobody, let's just keep it 1,000. Nobody is touching Conway right now. Conway, every track that Conway gets on, he steals it. Conway most recently had the best verse on DMX's album that came out a week ago. Conway always, if he's featured on a track, if you're the main artist, you're almost guaranteed to get bodied on it, because Conway, you're almost guaranteed to just get out rap, because Conway is your favorite rapper's rapper, your favorite rapper's rapper. I mean, Conway is just the hottest MC in the game right now. I mean, not only can the dude, my guy, do it on tracks, but just YouTube is freestyle. So if we going by what B Dot is saying, his top 10 was based on skills, performance, and presence. Conway has it all. The machine has it all. So Conway, easily number one, no debate, no doubt about that. So yo, listen, there you have it. Conway the Machine was at number one. And B Dot, listen, B Dot has his, opinions. I'm not gonna ish on him because, I totally disagree with his list, but hey, that's just his opinion. Hip hop is a game and is a genre of opinion. And these are just my 10 opinions right here. Feel free to leave a comment. Feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I will check y'all much later. Peace, and always one love.